By now, most of us are aware of some striking differences between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf, and I'm not only referring to the loud music that LIV plays at its events or the massive prize purses and sign-on bonuses that it offers PGA defectors. So stay tuned and don't go away, because when it comes to handling players' equipment needs, LIV Golf is finding ways to do more with less. First, can the PGA Tour learn a thing or two from how LIV Golf handles player equipment? We're about to find out. Ben Giunta, the owner of the Tour Van, a club fitter based in Portland, Oregon, and his business partner Jason Werner are responsible for taking care of the equipment needs of players competing in LIV Golf Invitational events held in the United States. The war between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf has been front page since LIV was founded in 2021, and we're constantly hearing about signings, the lawsuits, the world ranking saga, and the overall controversy in general. The situation is creating bad vibes throughout the game of golf, and the ripple effects are being felt in professional golf circuits worldwide. Giunta spent a decade as a PGA Tour rep for Nike, but now he works for LIV Golf. Giunta says his involvement with LIV was super organic. Another former Nike employee, Pete Powell, reached out to Giunta after working as the lead equipment coordinator at LIV's inaugural event outside London back in June. Giunta agreed to work all of LIV's US events for 2022. One main difference between LIV and the PGA Tour is how long the equipment trailer stays at a tournament. PGA Tour regulations require trailers to be off the premises before starting a tournament's opening round, but Giunta stays every day at LIV events. The difference is crucial for a player like Cameron Smith, who recently damaged a club during tournament play. Seems to me that the PGA Tour could learn a thing or two from how LIV handles player equipment. Next, does LIV Golf's spread-out schedule improve player access to equipment? Absolutely. PGA Tour trailers must leave tournaments early to ensure they have travel time needed to go from one event to another weekly. However, LIV's spread-out schedule eliminates the need to move equipment trailers. For the most part, on the PGA Tour, 10 or more companies bring large and medium-sized equipment vans to tournaments. Company tour reps and club technicians will then handle any equipment request from one of their staff players, as well as any requests from non-staff players. So that's one winning point for the PGA Tour. That kind of attention would not be the case at a LIV event. But Ben Giunta wants to make sure that all LIV players have their equipment needs taken care of. So he set out to find a massive truck that would give him the kind of workspace he requires to get the job done. Giunta even got LIV to buy a new trailer from Callaway so that he could have a mobile office. Initially, Giunta wasn't sure how much cooperation he would get from equipment companies, given the ongoing battle between LIV and the PGA. He explained, "The worst-case scenario was I could leverage product through my retail operation, but I felt I had strong enough relationships to help facilitate this shift, and that's what happened." Up next, has the LIV Golf PGA Tour battle presented golf's leading equipment manufacturers with certain problems? You bet. At the time of this recording, major golf equipment companies still haven't publicly supported or endorsed LIV Golf. For golf's leading equipment manufacturers, the rise of LIV Golf has come with challenges, and it feels like their loyalty to the PGA Tour is being tested. Most companies are taking a wait-and-see approach and are trying to determine both the viability of the LIV Tour itself and whether or not having LIV golfers associated with their brands would positively or negatively impact consumers' their bottom line. In other words, these companies are treading very carefully with LIV. Do you remember when Dustin Johnson won the LIV Boston event with an eagle on the first playoff hole? A finish like that at a PGA Tour event would have made TaylorMade's public relations apparatus spinning as fast as a golf ball in mid-flight. However, after Johnson's performance at the LIV Boston event, there was no press release from TaylorMade. No social media posts listing the clubs Johnson had in his bag, nothing. It was radio silence. But to be clear, product manufacturers are supporting LIV players, and they're supplying Ben Giunta with everything he needs regarding components and information. Cobra and PXG were extremely helpful early on, and Ping provided backup club heads for all its LIV players and their specs. So, for example, if Lee Westwood or Louis Oosthuizen breaks a club, Giunta has a replacement product available and the information he needs to create an exact duplicate. Stay tuned and don't go away because we're putting LIV Golf and the PGA Tour's player equipment programs under the microscope. Next up, how are golf's leading equipment manufacturers quietly cooperating with LIV Golf? You're about to find out. Ben Giunta recently provided a great example of golf's leading equipment manufacturers cooperating with LIV. Giunta points to a build he did for Cam Smith. It all started when Smith, the reigning Open Championship winner, was playing at his first LIV event in Boston. Smith wrecked a wedge hitting a shot against a tree, and Giunta immediately texted Titleist PGA Tour rep JJ Van Wezenbeek and asked for his specs. Van Wezenbeek immediately provided Giunta with the club specs, making the replacement a cinch. Giunta hopes the need to reach out for club specs will be less necessary in the future, and now when he sees a player, he's asking to make a blueprint of their bag. Giunta records all the players' specs using his own machines to have a baseline for future builds. Giunta says we can replicate to a very high standard on a global level now. That includes this week's event in Bangkok and the upcoming tournament in Saudi Arabia. Powell will be on site for both events. These days, Giunta's a busy guy. He works with roughly 1/3 of the field, mostly on maintenance issues, including repairs, reshafting, and loft and lie adjustments. One thing that has lightened Giunta's workload is the absence of reps from shaft companies. On the PGA Tour, shaft reps constantly try to get players to test their products, leading to much extra work for those in equipment vans. Up next, how does LIV's season align with manufacturers' new product launches? Let's find out. To date, LIV's season has fallen outside the window where manufacturers launch new products, resulting in less need and demand for builds in which players are testing out new clubs. So when original equipment manufacturers have something they want to get into LIV players' hands, they'll often send the sticks directly to players to try them out at home. Titleist, for example, recently released its TSR drivers and metal woods to its PGA Tour staff, but it worked with most of its LIV players directly to get them to use the new clubs. In some cases, Titleist sent out new clubs to PGA players before they departed to LIV. It comes down to logistics and the fact that there's a built-in player-rep relationship already established before PGA defectors head to LIV. Most veteran LIV players have worked with the same tour rep on their equipment for years, and that trust and bond are vitally important. Giunta is proactively building trusting relationships with players at LIV events and is quickly gaining their confidence. Giunta says, "I make a point to see players and let them know I am here to support them if they need anything. You have to be visible and available without getting into their business. It'll take a little bit, but I know some of these guys from my Nike days, and that's made it easier." Finally, who's the pickiest golfer Ben Giunta has ever worked with? Bryson DeChambeau. For Ben Giunta, working with Bryson DeChambeau's equipment is never easy. According to Giunta, DeChambeau is extremely particular regarding his gear and needs even the slightest thing to be perfectly dialed in. Giunta spent time with the 2020 US Open champ and said when it comes to equipment, DeChambeau is different from every other player he's ever worked with. Giunta explained, "Bryson goes through a lot of equipment. He's super demanding on his equipment from a spec standpoint, but he breaks golf clubs because he hits them so darn hard. We're constantly checking his gear to make sure it doesn't move and will hold up under the stress he puts on it. Is that unusual? I don't know, but it's certainly higher maintenance than any other player." High maintenance or low maintenance, Giunta is happy to work with all sorts of different player types, and he'll always do whatever he can from his equipment trailer to ensure that their needs are being met with a smile on his face. Giunta will be working at the final event of the LIV season in Miami and will be around at all the LIV events scheduled for 2023. That's a wrap for today's video. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe to our channel.